And now, oh, I can still hear myself. Do I sound any different here?
No, that's the same. No, is he with us? I think he's messing with us. I think he was just moving his lips.
I'm not, I swear to you. I will always confess when I'm goofing with you, but I was not doing that.
This episode of the All About Nothing podcast is brought to you by GOT Sound Studio. GOT Sound Studio offers a variety of experiences: music, voice, and instrumental recording and production, video, and still photography. GOT Sound Studio has all of your media needs met. Owned and operated by Dominique Stewart, the Neek the Geek, experienced artists as well as up-and-coming will find everything they need to create. Bring your media needs to one of the most talented producers and engineers in the business, Neek the Geek. You can find details by visiting gotsoundstudio.com or calling 803-243-2302. You can also find links in the Friends of the Pod section of our website. Visit theallaboutnothing.com. Hey Nothingers, it's Barrett from the All About Nothing podcast for Everplay Sports and Social Club. If you're in the Columbia area, I want to let you know that Summer League registration is now open for kickball, volleyball, softball, soccer, and Monday pickleball. You heard that right. If you're looking to get active this summer, Everplay Sports and Social Club is exactly what you're looking for. Summer registration for Tuesday Super Rec Kickball at B Avenue, Wednesday and Thursday kickball, indoor volleyball on Mondays and Tuesdays, Thursday sand volleyball, Sunday and Monday softball, Tuesday and Wednesday bowling, Wednesday soccer, and Monday pickleball. New for this summer bowling league at Bolero and Casey, 10 full weeks of league bowling. So visit everplaysocial.com for details and registration. That's everplaysocial.com. Play, socialize, and have fun. Everplay Sports and Social Club.
The All About Nothing podcast
may have content and language
that isn't appropriate for some.
Listener discretion is advised.
All right, episode number 201 now. Today is Monday, April the 22nd. I am Barrett Gruber.
I am Zach King.
Man, that took a really long time. We are joined by Bill Kimler, who is the Democratic candidate for House Seat 13. I have to check my notes because I wrote them down. I hit both of you in the face with that.
Rude.
That was. Everybody, please subscribe and share the show. That's how we get new listeners. Also, if you can, please consider supporting the show financially by visiting our website and clicking on the support link. If you can't do that, please drop us a review, hit the 5 stars. Please give us a thumbs up or leave a comment. All that helps drive our show higher in the ratings. With that out of the way, Bill, we'll introduce you here in just a second. Way to go, Zach. People didn't even know he was here until you were like, "Hey, Bill, whatever."
Well, I miss my best friend.
Oh.
How's my frenemy doing?
We're good. Shane's here. Barrett didn't introduce him either. Whatever.
Oh, yeah. Shane. Sorry, I thought you said chains. I was like, single chain, 2 chains. What are we talking about? I do have a couple shout outs. I want to shout out Chef Hector Sanchez, who was on the last episode, and also mention April 30th at Pop. He's going to do a pop-up at Craft and Draft on Divine here in Columbia. Also, shout out to Chef Danny and Tracy from Our Daily Bread, South Carolina, or Our Daily Bread SC. They bake for a bunch of locations all over Columbia, so you can definitely check them out.
So let me stop you here. How much of the bread that he gave us did you eat on the ride home?
I didn't eat any of it on the ride home.
I did.
I didn't eat any of it on the ride home. In fact, when I got home, so he gave us what, 6-inch? It was like 6-inch pieces of. So he said that I thought he said they were brochet, whatever.
Bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Apparently, that's not what they were. They were something else. Some other type of bread.
It was delicious. I left Gabrielle like this big of a chunk. I was like, you have to try this bread. I've been trying it since downtown.
So I got home and I started cutting it in pieces because I got a family of 5. So I want to, we'll share it. Out of the 6 inches, I got maybe a half an inch out of that piece of bread.
That's what she said.
Barrett, that looks like 6 inches to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that good judgment there, Zach. But you can check out Our Daily Bread SC at on Facebook. It's Facebook/Our Daily Bread. Also, thanks to John Kosis Jr., Broadcast and Media Relationship Manager from the Columbia Fireflies, who provides our weekly Fireflies updates. So those started back up because we're recording for the 22nd last week. Also, as of this episode that we're recording, the Fireflies are currently on a road trip, but they will be back when this episode comes out. And I think the week that this episode comes out is the week that they will be for the first time the Columbia Grits. So they have a bunch of different food options that are going to be available. A grits
So is
menu.
that just a one-time deal, or is
They're going to do it a couple times during the season.
Yeah, they're going to ruin
Okay.
food a couple times with grits.
So next week or this week that it airs, they will have like a shrimp and grits. They'll have chicken and grits. They'll have grits. I imagine you can probably load up on your butter, salt, pepper, whatever.
for the
you
old
decide
timers?
on.
They're going to have a Kiss My Grits.
Yeah, maybe. I know.
Bumper sticker.
I know on Friday they will be giving away a bobblehead Columbia grit bowl sort of thing. That I'm gonna we're going to that game, so I'm gonna make sure to have I'm gonna get one of those because I will stand in line for bobbleheads anytime. I'm waiting.
Hey, you want to see my bobblehead? Hold on.
Zach and I do our best bobblehead impression.
Whoa.
Who has a bobblehead of himself?
Bill Kimler.
Look at that
has
neck on
an
that thing.
actual bobblehead.
This goes back to my history a bit. This is a gift to me from my brother for being his best man at his wedding. So he gave all the groomsmen bobbleheads of themselves.
that
And
That
back
is
in the
awesome.
day, I was working towards my black belt in karate, and I had just a goatee, not a beard, and I was actually fit, not fat. This goes back a day, but you can see it is me. And this was based just off of a photograph she had, or my brother
Nice.
had. He had a
That's crazy.
photograph, turned it into this artist. He took that one flat photograph and made a full 3D bobblehead out of it that was pretty damn accurate.
I gotta
That's
ask,
crazy.
So when his now wife was walking down the aisle, were you like, this is great? Oh.
That's awesome. Let's see. Also, want to shout out the Funny Medicine podcast, which we are going to do a collaboration with. But if you listen to the last episode, we talked about it. So the Braves and the Marlins had a series this past weekend. The Braves came out on top, and if you haven't gotten to hear exactly what it was that went on for that, I do want to share this real quick. So I'm
We
going to play
have
this.
an ongoing bet with the All About Nothing podcast with Barrett, and said that he'd go ahead and plug us in if the Braves win.
Yeah.
And then if we, the Marlins, win, then we'll return the favor. We're still talking about each other as I'm doing right now, and as he did on his podcast episode, which you should go ahead and check that out.
So listen here, Mr. Barrett. No, listen, Julie, you don't need to know anything about baseball. What you do know already is that you're a Miamian. So what does that naturally make you?
Marlins fan?
Exactly.
Wade County.
So game on, Mr. Barrett. Game on. Okay?
Mr. Barrett.
Runners go. Ozuna hits it in the air to left center. Chisholm back.
Ozuna has gotten so chunky.
The Braves down to their final strike. And Ozuna, who owns Miami, strikes again.
So thank you to the Major League.
Close. That was so close to us having to be like,
Yeah, it was literally the last strike of the last inning that Ozuna hit that home run and got the Braves to 9-7, and that's how they won. They won 9-7 on that game. It was stupid close to us having to do a shout out for the Funny Medicine podcast. You can check them out on Instagram at Funny Medicine Podcast, as well as TikTok and all their other social media. They're on Threads and everything. So,
and that's what we would have said had we lost, but we're not going to say.
Had the Braves lost, I would have said something to the effect
of what you just said. Yeah.
Make sure to check out the Funny Medicine Podcast. In fact, we're planning on doing a collaboration episode with them here soon. Unfortunately, they released their cannabis marijuana episode this week, so we missed out on that, Zach, because we could have been participants in that one.
Can I just point out, you guys absolutely suck when it comes to bets and the stakes on those bets. Like this was the worst bet ever. Like I get the winning and the the series sweep, but there was no stakes in this bet.
Yeah, I understand.
To be
like
fair,
if you were going to do something,
facilitate the bet, all right.
Yeah.
That was this guy Barrett.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. If I do this, is Zach directly to my right, or who am I pointing at?
Other way.
You're over here.
You're over here
No.
on mine.
No, you were fine the first way, Barrett, from my screen.
See, Bill is. If I could reach through Zach, I could.
Ow!
okay, see there, perfect, all the way from Greenwood.
Dang.
Do have another shout out. And Bill's going to really appreciate this because I'm going to give him the same opportunity here in a second. So,
are we doing a bet now? Is
no.
that what you're saying? You're doing a bet with my podcast?
Not.
I
Oh,
can tell you
that
right
might be
now,
interesting.
we should.
That might be
I tell you what, loser has to do their show topless.
I mean, shoot, right. No, I'm
That's not much of a bet if there's no stakes.
You asked the wrong two guys.
yeah, exactly.
I may have to check with my podcast partner to get approval on that bet.
I don't think Dr. Jamil is going to be happy about that at all. I do want to point out. So, as Matt Villardobo's campaign manager, I do get to use my platform to promote Matt. So, if you are in the Fort Mill area and can vote, make sure you're registered to vote. Check out Matt's website, mattv4sc.com. There are going to be links there to see how he stands on the issues. There's available information. You can contact him to discuss anything, as well as there's a donations link now. He's set up on ActBlue because apparently there was some flack for that. So he is now set up on ActBlue for donations. And also, May 4th, Fort Mill Strawberry Festival is going to be taking place. Walter Y. Alicia Park, 345 North White Street in Fort Mill. We are looking for volunteers to help us out with handing out some campaign information. So if you can reach out to me through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Just message me, or you can message Matt. All of the links are available on the website. Again, Matt V4SC.
Matt Villardobo is a good dude.
Yeah, he is.
Let me tell you. I'll plug my podcast real quick. Black, White, and Blue in the South. We had a 2-part episode with Matt.
Yeah.
And we got to dive deep, and boy, he was a great guest. So much fun, so much content.
He is
he's
so
just great
smart
to talk to.
He is so smart, and it's not like he's deliberately liberal on things. He is just same as you. It is just well thought out, intelligent ways of handling some of the social issues that we have in the state. It has nothing. It doesn't require someone to be super liberal or ultra conservative or whatever. These are fundamental social issues, and we'll discuss some of it. So, since Bill already shouted out his podcast, I'll go ahead and introduce him. Bill Kimler is back this week. Democratic candidate for House Seat 13, host of the podcast Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jamil Brooks, who is also running for State House. She is running for State House District 12. I had her Ballotpedia. Is that what they call it? Ballotpedia?
Ballotpedia.
It feels like there's not enough syllables in there for it to be. What
do you want it to be? Ballotpedia establishmentarianism? I mean, how long do you need it to be?
Well, Wikipedia feels long. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Bill is running against John McCreevy, which I just want to point this out. McCreevy feels like on his resume, it should have listed on there as contractor during the construction of Dr. Evil's volcano lair. McCreevy, of course, has been in office since 2016. And Jamil is running against Daniel Gibson, who is a baby in the House seat, both in stature and in his longevity. So, anything to add to that, Bill?
Yeah, that guy that Dr. Brooks is running against, he hasn't found where the bathrooms are yet, and he doesn't need to bother because he's not going to be in that seat much longer.
Right.
He's a one and done. That's a guarantee.
Awesome. Good. That's what we want to hear. And at some point, we'll have Dr.
And
Brooks.
if you can think of any policy that is the worst of the worst legislations in South Carolina, my opponent, John McCreevy, is behind it. So you want to talk about the 6-week abortion ban, or you want to talk about the trans youth legislation that he thinks is the most important thing facing our state today. He's the guy behind it. He's behind the anti-DEI and the anti-CRT, all of these nonsense issues. Meanwhile, we remain one of the poorest states in the nation. We remain, the litany of stuff, all the rankings and so on.
Right.
He doesn't care about any of that because he is focused on his social issues that he has to get done.
Yeah, in fact, I just want to mention some of what was introduced literally today during session. He introduced and adopted a bill, SC H5405, for Poultry Festival, distinguished citizen recognizing and honoring Homer Deerin Billy Shaw for his contributions to his community. This was introduced today. This is the important work they're doing right now.
His parents hate him? What the hell is with that name?
SCH 5406, Batesburg Leesville Coaching Pitch All-Stars. Apparently the All-Star baseball team, he introduced this and it was adopted, but it was returned with concurrence. Basically,
well, look, let's be honest. That stuff is okay. That is all part of legislating. It doesn't take any time to recognize members of the community. Everybody does it. I've sat in on some of these hearings, or they're not hearings, some of the sessions.
Yeah.
And all of the legislators, they want to honor a guest. They want to issue a proclamation of a new pastor or this or that. It takes only a few minutes. You got to do it. It's good governance. That's fine. But when they get to the lawmaking stuff, that's where he introduces and pushes through this nonsense, giving it high priority.
Yeah, the Child Online Safety Act is going to be introduced tomorrow.
So what is that? Please do explain.
That is to amend the South Carolina Code of Laws by adding Section 39.5.190 so as to provide definitions to provide that it is unlawful for an operator to make a pornographic website available to persons under the age of 18 to provide, that is something that is going to be adopted. And is it how okay, so
I thought that was already a thing.
Bill, you're a tech guy. The only limitations that I know about porn sites is that they ask you if you're 18.
I think that is the only requirement of this bill.
Zach, can you check your phone real quick? Does it ask you when you go to your favorite porn site?
Yeah, I don't think it does.
Yeah, that
hotbarrett.com. Let's go.
Wait, I might have already answered. Hold on.
But seriously, it was a law. Again, it's one of those laws that are bills that is good for publicity, and it does absolutely nothing.
Right.
The House voted on it overwhelmingly. Everybody voted yes on it except one legislator who stood up and said, "This is ridiculous. I'm voting no." But everybody else voted yes, and really all it does is forces the website to put a "I am 18" button on the front of the website. You got to click to get through, and then you're in.
For what it's worth, I don't know, Bill, if you play video games much at all. Besides out running campaigns, it's probably way more important. But even when you go into Steam, if you're under 17, it asks you all the time if you're going to look at this page.
No, I don't play video games. I used to. Let's just say that I was old school with the original Doom and Wolfenstein 3D before Doom, and then Quake that came after Doom. But then I got too addicted to it, so I had to walk away. Then I picked up Civilization, and that was my poison. I got Civ 4 on Steam when it came out maybe 6-7 years ago.
Oh yeah,
and I would find myself seeing the sunrise. Just one more turn. And for some reason, I had no problem staying up till 6 a.m. taking turns on this game. Just one more nation to conquer. And then I had to uninstall it.
I love that game so much, especially when you can be like Aztecs, the civilization that technically doesn't exist. But in my game, we're launching rockets and we're going to outer space.
Yes.
It's great.
Look at these Mayans with their thermonuclear weapons.
I love kicking Gandhi's ass. I mean, I derive great pleasure from it.
Pops up speaking Somali to you. You're just like, what are you doing?
Here, have some more passive resistance. Why don't
Here's the line, Gandhi. Yeah.
Well, Bill, do you all have anything coming up for your campaign here in the next few weeks that people need to know about?
Well, I'll plug a couple of places I'll be appearing. This Saturday, the Greenwood County Democratic Party is holding their annual Floyd's Fish Fry and Cookout, and that's named after Senator Floyd Nicholson, who's a beloved former state senator here in Greenwood. So it's the biggest fundraiser, so I and a bunch of other candidates will be there to meet and greet the crowd.
Okay.
And then after that, on May the 4th, we have our Democratic Party breakfast meeting in the morning, which I will be at. No, May the 4th is a Sunday. The 3rd is the Saturday. We'll have the breakfast meeting. Then on the 4th, we will be at a restaurant called T.W. Boone's. And I say we because it'll be Dr. Jameel Brooks, who's running for State House 12, myself running for State House 13. We're doing a co-meet and greet since it's right there, uptown Greenwood, and our districts are right next to each other, so we get a good overlap of people. So we've got the restaurant area that we'll be doing a meet and greet there, and then we're going to be doing a lot of door knocking and canvassing. That has begun. 'Tis the season.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, that's exciting. I'm glad to hear that. Where can people find you to make donations? Because as I found out today, which you can check your Captivate site. I found out we have listeners now. We have someone that is we have at least one person that is consistently downloading episodes in Germany, as well. We have Australia, Romania. And we are apparently fairly popular in Russia right now. So,
Doskibanya.
Yeah, Doskibanya, whatever Zach said. Yeah. So
Putin's keeping an eye on you.
Well, I think I said goodbye. Hold on. Privyet, comrade.
Anyhow, they can visit my website, Kimler, that's Kimler, for SC, that's FORSC.com. And don't go to Kilmer, which is a very common misspelling of my name. You do not want to give Val Kilmer any of my money. Go to Kimler4SC.com.
But if you like the Iceman, also go there after going to Kimler4SC.
Yeah, if you're
That's right.
fan
and
of the
then I'm also very present on all the social medias. I mean, every last one of them. I'm on there every day. Obviously the Twitter. Y'all not there. No, I didn't do that. And I keep checking my DJT stock every day. I'm getting kind of nervous. I put my entire 401k into DJT. I just thought there were enough gullible suckers in this nation that this thing would be shooting to the moon. Boy was I wrong.
Mistakes were made.
My 401k is now a 401b.
Yeah.
It is completely downgraded.
A 603c is now what we're looking into for potential charity. That I think I saw at closing today. I think it was hovering somewhere around the $22-$23 mark, where people's initial buy-in to it was 56 or something like that. That was initially. Went all the way up to 78. Should have sold then. Every
day it is dropping by double-digit percentages. Oh, yeah. But you know what? It's like Zeno's paradox. Do you know that? Zeno's paradox. Zeno was a Greek philosopher or whatever. Maybe he was just a character. But the idea is you want to go from here to the wall. In order to get there, I have to cover half the distance, right?
Right.
Then to get from that point to the wall, I got to cover half the distance of that.
You will never make it.
And an infinite number of half distances. Yeah. In theory, I should never be able to make it to the wall if I keep doing that.
Right.
So how do we ever get from A to B? Well, watching Trump's stock plunge is kind of like watching Zeno's paradox in action.
Yeah.
It'll never get to zero, even if you lose 10% every day. You'll never make it to zero.
That is fair. That is an accurate assessment.
Anyhow, that's a kind of a mathematician's nerdy way of looking at a political stock.
Well, then we could throw in Occam's razor somewhere there.
You're right.
Well, I studied applied mathematics, so I
did you really? I did not know that.
Yeah, applied mathematics, and then it was mass communication and broadcast journalism. So,
and I'm the fool over here studying physics.
So
I don't know why you said that. Why did you pick physics?
Yeah, why was physics the one you went with there, Zach?
It explains everything.
Well, I mean, that's what I did study.
Oh, really? Oh,
I have my master's.
I did know
I have
that.
my master's. I am hating the light here. Am I like I feel like I'm the mystery man.
It's almost it's
You're
almost
Mr. X,
it's
the
it's
man with the cigarette.
I was
the
gonna say
man.
while Bill is fixing his lighting, I'll just say it's almost as if and he can't hear me, but it's almost as if he was one of those witnesses to a crime.
Hey, look at that.
I was telling Zach, it's almost like you're one of those witnesses to a crime.
Exactly.
But the producer for the television recording didn't get it quite right, so it was basically half of your face was dark. It was like they'll never be able to tell who he is.
He's like the smoking man from the X-Files. Yeah.
There's not a chance. They'll have no idea.
Well, my big thing with physics, just to answer Bill's question, was it's really, really easy to defeat creationists when you understand thermodynamics, especially the third law with open systems and closed systems, and you explain that to them. It just wrecks their entire argument.
Tears it apart.
I would pay you $5 to have you explain that to me.
But thermodynamics?
Zach has offered you $5. What's your Venmo? You can.
So the third law talks about an open system and a closed system and systems working towards entropy, right? So Earth is an open system. Flat earthers think it's a closed system, so entropy cannot enter the equation towards destruction. Everything in the universe obeys these laws of thermodynamics. They're called laws for a reason, just like so gravity. It's a theory of gravity. You don't know everywhere that it works. Thermodynamics, we do know that it works everywhere. So in a creationist world, I cannot remember every point they brought up because it's been years since I had to debate them.
I wish I could put up a ticker as the value of the $5 continues to drop as Zach realizes.
No. I feel like I'm sitting in front of Neil deGrasse Tyson as we speak. It's like it's kind of eerie. It's like, wow, this is incredible.
I could find a couple creationists that I have talked to, and I don't know if they agree anymore. But they were like, huh, okay. It's genuinely the difference between open systems, closed systems when it comes to the third law of thermodynamic entropy.
Yeah, when you talk about the kind of the anti-science crowd, and they grab onto something like creationism because they can comprehend something about evolution, right? Maybe they don't get it right, but at least it's within their grasp. But you bring up things like, the various laws of thermodynamics, or even quantum mechanics, or the theory of relativity and what happens as you get towards the speed of light. Even crazier shit happens that would blow their minds, none of them fight it because they can't even begin to comprehend it to fight it.
Or you don't have the willpower to do it. Yeah, absolutely. Like the weird things start happening when you travel close to the speed of light.
Oh yeah. Well, your mass, the weight, the mass of whatever it is that's accelerating towards the speed of light. I mean, becomes infinitely more heavy and. So that's why we can't accelerate at the speed of light. But if we could just jump to the speed of light, maybe, then we wouldn't have that issue. Or if we could make space travel around us at the speed of light, But, anyway.
And a lot of when you talk to creationists or anyone in that flat earthers, you could throw that one in there. They will pick and choose the science that they want, right? And they don't. It's almost like pulling a part out of an equation and say "see," and don't go get the rest of it.
Yeah.
When Egyptians were building spires and measuring shadows for millennia before.
Oh yeah.
Well, can I tie this back to something political? Because this is one of the things that pisses me most off about our current legislature.
Absolutely.
They're dealing with topics and concepts that are far beyond their comprehension. I'm not saying it's beyond my comprehension too. There are just things I cannot be an expert in. You can't know everything. So what you do is you hold hearings and you bring in the experts to educate you so that you can make an informed decision, build your legislation intelligently.
Right.
So you take something like the anti-trans bills that they were bringing in, and I literally watched 45 different pieces of testimony from doctors, from pediatricians, from counselors, from therapists that have been working in the field for years. And the lawmakers just dismissed them. They're like, we know better than you. Thank you for your time. Plod, send them on their way, and then just continue to override their vote. And that's just one example. There are many, many times I've seen experts come in and testify and have their expertise just completely dismissed. And that's one of the most insulting things I think a lawmaker can do.
Totally agree. Agree. It's absurd. Speaking of O.J. Simpson, do you like how I did that?
Okay.
If the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
How old were you during the trial, the O.J. Simpson trial? Where did that place you?
I was O.J. Simpson trial was in 95, right? So O.J. Simpson 95, I was 16.
All right. I was 2 years out of college at that point when that happened.
Yeah.
But I watched it.
I was 6 in 94, 7 in 95. All I remember was my dad and mom watching him on TV run away in the Bronco.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That had 95 million views. 95 million people watched as he was trying to, I don't know what he was trying to do. Because even today they describe it as a slow chase. Like, you don't ever see police chases described as a slow police chase, because every time
he had a gun in the car.
That's what he said on the phone. He was telling people that he had a gun in the car, but I don't remember that they actually found one. But
police
what I
take
remember
it as a serious threat.
What I remember thinking as I was watching that unfold, I was thinking, my parents had the moon landing as their pivotal moment watching television. I'm watching that Bronco going, this is my moon landing. This is the defining television moment of my generation. Tell me of another one. That was bigger. Okay, it's until 9/11. I will give you that.
I was
until
9/11. That was mine. Like, I remember being stopped in school for it.
I was going to say, between O.J. Simpson and 9/11, we also had the Oklahoma City bombing. That was,
but I don't think that gripped television the way 9/11.
Yeah, maybe not.
93?
And O.J. did.
So
and that was in '93 because I was a senior in college when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So the Oklahoma bombing was before O.J.
Goodness, was that 93? Waco was 93, wasn't it? When that was under Clinton, when that whole fiasco went down with
Well, no, Clinton was elected in
92, and he took office
in 92 and took office in 93, first year.
Yeah,
right. I'll tell you this, since you brought up Clinton in my college years, this was my political origin story. So I was a senior in college. It would have been my first year being able to vote for a president. And I went to a small liberal arts college in northern New Jersey called Drew University.
Okay.
And the president of Drew was a guy named Tom Kean. He was the former governor of New Jersey and then became a college president. But small school. Like, my graduating class was less than 500 students. It was that small of a school.
Wow.
Beautiful buildings, a gorgeous school. Anyhow, we got word, this was around October, September of 92, voicemail blast went out to all the students that governor and presidential candidate Bill Clinton was doing a pop-up rally on our campus, which was unheard of because we're a tiny campus. But they shut everything down, all classes canceled. Secret Service was walking around making sure everything was safe. Now, I wasn't political. I really wasn't paying much attention. But remember who else was running during that election? It was Clinton versus
Ross Perot and George Bush.
Ross Perot and George Bush. Well, Ross Perot had all of our attention because he was just this goofy guy on pay TV that you can watch at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? With this, hello, my name is Ross Perot, and we're going to talk about this graph and this chart and this sucking sound going down to Mexico down there. And the guy was just hilarious. So when we got word that Clinton was doing a rally on campus, me and my roommates created a 6-foot-long banner that said Ross for Boss. And when Clinton started to speak, we were in the back. We unveiled this banner and started marching it up and down, Ross for Boss, right? We didn't really care about Ross, but you know what? It was a funny thing to do.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, every camera, every newspaper journalist were coming over to us to get our opinions about Ross Perot. They did not care about what Clinton was saying up there. They wanted to hear about college students who were pro-Ross Perot supporters.
Yeah.
So at that moment, I started laying some BS about why I appreciate Ross Perot, and this is why I love him, and I think he's the best.
That's so great. As you were probably just up there, like, car ran good, everything great. Like, it was a great time. Like, what he says is just fantastic.
Oh, he was the greatest.
The most non-answers you've ever had.
But that was my first political experience.
I absolutely would have been on it. I would have been honest about it. I would have been like, it's great that Ross Perot is in this, is campaigning as a candidate for president, because just imagine all of the votes that he's taking away from George Bush that will give Bill Clinton the victory.
Plus, you have to go up there and say, I'm here for President Perot.
Oh, and how
President Perot.
And how that switched today with independents taken away from the Democrats this time. It's just crazy.
Well, and if you went to like a a Biden rally and someone had a 6-foot banner that said "Run Trump," you'd be like, that shit's not funny. Like, it's not a joke anymore. Like, please don't do this. It's taken to a level of seriousness now that, like, we don't want to do that again.
Here's the crazy thing, that a third party candidate, if they were not crazy like RFK Jr. is,
right,
could pull this off. If you had a sensible, independent voice out there who didn't have all the dumbass baggage that RFK Jr. does, man, that would have been interesting. But the fact that he can be as crazy as he is and still have the following and the fundraising he's able to pull off, I don't get what's happening to this country.
Either.
He did Joe
Lost
Rogan.
their damn minds.
What you need you need Johnson & Weld to come back, right? Because they were the ones taking the votes away.
This is a candidate who thinks that there's chemicals in the water that are making kids gay. That's a belief of his.
He also believes that the vaccines that the vaccines that he received as a child is what made his voice sound like that. He believes that whatever documents that he's collected or created or whatever, that they have ultimately led to him sounding as though he's been a smoker for 60 years or whatever.
And they killed my dad.
Yeah.
You're just like, even if he had good ideas, I'm just like, dude.
I am very happy about the fact that he is not on the ballot in all of the states yet, and he seems to only be on the ballot in the states where Trump probably was going to get a win. That is the only thing I'm okay with, because RFK Jr. He tends to sort of lean into a lot of the crazy stuff that some of the conservatives that go further to the right, that seems to be his territory. But then he also kind of comes back around to the liberal side with the Jenny McCarthy's and whatnot about vaccine and such. So,
McCarthy is not the liberal side of things.
Jenny McCarthy?
Married to...
Boy, that is a name I have not heard in maybe 3 years. I am shocked you're bringing that up.
Yeah, Jenny McCarthy.
You're talking about, what's his name? Mark Wahlberg's brother, married to her?
Yeah. She's not a liberal?
Pretty...
She's not a liberal? Oh, okay. I thought she was liberal. She was just the vaccines are bad and causing autism thing. I thought that was her.
That's insane.
It is insane, because there's no documented medical evidence to support that vaccines cause autism.
Yeah, exactly. That's why when you said liberal, I guess I didn't put her in that category of...
It's a weird Venn diagram to be a part of, because it's like a 3-dimensional Venn diagram that sort of loops around, and then Jenny McCarthy is way over here on the backside as the bridge between conservatism and liberalism. Did you guys...
I know somebody who they're both their parents, and they're both over 55, but both of their parents, they were born and raised in army bases, and his sister is mentally disabled, and he swears up and down that the vaccines that the army gave them did that to her. But though he got the exact same ones, that's what did that to her.
Our military's been given vaccines, and I mean, we've been feeding our soldiers anthrax for decades, because a little bit at a time, so that if there were some sort of biological use and anthrax was part of it.
Well, the mustard gas pill during the first Desert Storm and stuff like that.
Exactly.
We have turned that whole vaccine into such a political thing.
Oh yeah.
Are you aware of the legislation that's going through South Carolina right now regarding vaccinations?
No, inform us.
So this is a response to the COVID vaccine, which again, the many lawmakers and their followers have cast a lot of doubt on, and they're still about microchips and that it's untested and all that. So they're putting in a law that says there will be no mandated vaccinations for anything that has not had at least 10 years of FDA clinical trials on it. So they're basically putting in a law that should COVID-19 Part 2 ever happen, and God forbid it does, they are going to make it impossible for the people of South Carolina to be protected against it in another breakthrough scientific, deal like the COVID vaccines were.
Yeah.
They're going to put in stops to that, because they saw that as a rallying cry for personal freedoms. And they worded it so that all the other vaccines that we already know work, like the measles vaccines and polio vaccines and
flu, mumps,
all those vaccines are just accepted because they passed this criteria, this really high bar that modern medicine no longer really needs, because we are able to test and deploy at such a rapid scale like no other. they're going to say, yeah, South Carolina, we're going to continue to have some of the highest death rates in the nation in the future should this happen again.
I think
absolutely, you're gonna have so many dead 10-year-olds by the time any of that gets passed. Like there they are again, not caring about the kids after
we have a candidate in District 14 that's in Lawrence County, and it's a Republican candidate with no challenger. So the very fact that he's signed on the dotted line when he filed, he's automatically won. His name is Luke Rankin, and I know that name because he came over to Greenwood to lead a protest in front of our hospital. It was an anti-vaccine protest in front of Self Regional Hospital while they were dealing with patients who were dying by the dozens daily. Like I was talking to a nurse who worked during that time. She says every day they were coding patients, several a day. They were overflowing and just they couldn't do anything for these patients. And meanwhile, we got these yahoos across the street protesting the vaccine. That you know their leader Trump had worked so hard to get out there.
Right.
They were out there protesting it, and I'm thinking, you know, you're not helping. How is this helping anybody survive this? And now he gets to be automatically gifted a seat to the state house because nobody ran against him.
Well,
that really bugs me.
Anybody
Yeah,
listening
that's
in Lawrence
awful.
County, you do have the ability to write in for local elections. So I would hope that maybe somebody would mount some sort of a campaign as a write-in candidate. But I'll say this about the COVID-19 vaccine. I am not a Donald Trump fan. And while I recognize that the COVID-19 vaccine was developed and tested and then brought to market during his presidency, that despite my disinterest in another Trump presidency, I recognize the fact that it's the 21st century. We have supercomputers that can run every single potential model against what these vaccines have the capability of doing in the human body based on blood type, any possible pre-existing conditions, and the fact that artificial intelligence that we're seeing that gain prominence by leaps and bounds. The fact that for the next possible pandemic, we will have our medical professionals will have the use of artificial intelligence to actually even speed up the process. There are apparently artificial intelligence applications right now that are being fed information about possible diseases that are in some of these places like Africa and Asia and in the South America and places like that currently right now, that are able to predict the potential impact of something jumping into a strain jumping over to humans. And it's unbelievable, the data that basically they're using this to prepare for the next possible vaccine. We get a Trump administration again, America will basically just ignore any of that. Yeah. I feel certain that COVID-19 was potentially, under a Donald Trump administration, preparation for COVID-24 or COVID-25.
I try to explain this in simple terms to somebody as to how do I most simply compare the Biden administration to the Trump administration. And the way I look at it objectively is how did they handle the worst possible disasters that impacted them?
Right.
So under the Trump administration, it was the COVID-19 pandemic. Like, he didn't cause it, he had to deal with it.
Right.
And it affected the whole globe. Under the Biden administration, it was inflation. He didn't create it. It impacted the whole globe. Every nation dealt with inflation as the supply chain got disrupted and had to restart. It affected everybody's economy.
Right.
So what I look at is, okay, how did you do compared to the rest of the countries in the world that were facing the same problem? America had the worst death rate, or just about the worst death rate of all civilized nations, all first world nations during the COVID-19. We had the worst death rate. Inflation. America has, under Biden, the best recovery, economic recovery, among all nations in the country or in the world. So when you're comparing these things, you got to compare. You may not like how prices are now. I get it. Nobody likes it. But compared to how other nations are recovering, we're way ahead of them. And we're actually looking at an economic boom on our forecasts.
Oh, yeah.
Other nations are just coming out of the inflation curve, while we've been coming out of it for almost a year now. So you got to give credit where credit's due and make those type of comparisons. Let me share another thing with you, because I'm coming into my campaign running for state house with two top issues, and one of them is in the medical area, and that has to do with medical debt. Because I have been hearing, as I've been talking to people and experiencing myself, South Carolinians are impacted by medical debt worse than just about any other state in the country.
Yeah.
Easily. It is a fact that we are second in the nation for medical debt that's gone into collections. Not just in the medical debt you have. It's gotten so bad you now have collection agencies after you. We're second worst in the nation. And how do we make it worse? Well, we've allowed the government to become a collection agency for hospitals. If you are overdue on your bills or you've had so much debt you can't pay it off, what's the government do to your tax refunds?
Take it out of your state tax refund.
Garnished,
Yeah.
right? You were looking forward to your $600, $500 to make your rent payment. Nope, it took it away. Now, there is no reason why hospitals are allowed to have the state government be their collection agency.
Right.
But if you're late on a car payment or a house payment or a credit card payment, the government doesn't come in and take your money, right? They got to go through it the old-fashioned way. So why do hospitals get to use the services of the government for collections? And it's not like the billing for these services are all that accurate. I'll tell you a personal story. 2 years ago, and I think I shared this with you before, I donated a kidney.
Right.
And part of that means the donor incurs no bills whatsoever. 100% free. Every test, the hospital say, the surgery, everything, to encourage donors, no charge at all. So I had some tests done here at the local hospital that were required. I had to get a chest x-ray and something else. And they got the lab work. The lab clearly says, according to federal law, blah, 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 do not bill the patient, send all paperwork to the organ transplant center. Well, guess what I get in the mail 3 months later?
A bill?
A several $1,000 bill for these tests where the order clearly said, do not bill the patient. So I contacted them. I sent them a copy of the lab order again saying, look, you were not supposed to charge me. A month later, guess what I get in the mail? An overdue notice.
Yeah.
An overdue notice. You are now 30 days late in payment. Please pay. I go, guys, this is, and then this happened one more time. I got one more overdue notice, and then I went ballistic, right? And I threatened a lawsuit, saying you guys are breaking the law by sending me these bills. Yep. And they got it taken care of. I finally found the right person who cleared it out. Now, fortunately for me, that happened during the summer, so I had no penalty. But what happens if that was during tax season?
Oh yeah.
They could have garnished my tax refund to pay for billing errors that I had nothing to do with. And you know how hard it is to get that fixed after the fact?
Oh,
do you know how many hoops you have to jump through?
Yeah.
So anyhow, as a legislator, there are things we can do to address this. Number one, get the government out of garnishment. Yeah. They should not be involved. The only place where they should still be involved is when it comes to child support. I don't want to let that stay, but this whole medical bill stuff, get that out of there. Secondly, go ahead, Zach.
No, I had a question for you, Bill, because I was in a similar situation. When I
which kidney did you donate?
It wasn't a kidney. Well, it was a donation. I donated stem cells.
Bone marrow, right?
Bone marrow stem cells. So it was either one. Either it would be they could have took bone marrow or peripheral stem cell donation. Luckily, I got the least painful option. They still give you morphine for it, so it was 8 hours in a chair and after all these shots. But what they told me is that it was the person receiving it. I was on their insurance. I had to go for tests multiple times to Washington, D.C. for it, all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I never had a bill. But I think, and just kind of even overgoing it, I don't think they should incur that cost either. I don't know. That's kind of weird to me when it comes down to it that, okay, so their insurance is going to incur the cost of me getting tested, but this person's about to die. Like, that's why I always bring up the social medicine part of it that people always are taboo about. Well, socialism, like, the worst thing you're going to have with socialized medicine is your wait time. And
that's really not that big of an issue. This whole idea that in Canada that you'll sit 6 or 7 months for something that potentially you may die from. That's not how it works. What they
No.
talk about when it comes to the amount of time that people have to wait to either see a doctor for something, they're talking about elected procedures. They're talking about things that are not medically necessary. They're still available, but it's not a situation where someone is waiting to be tested for cancer or to have an operation or surgery. That's not what happens. None of that goes on.
Meanwhile,
Well, the
in our
difference-
private insurance model, you may not have to wait long, but you can't see your doctor that's local. You have to go 60 miles to go see somebody who's in network.
Yeah.
How's that
Yeah.
if
Well, and if you're a woman,
the biggest difference is waiting for healthcare or waiting for no healthcare.
yeah. Or if you're a woman and you live in one of these OBGYN dry counties now, which I think we're up to 21 or 22 dry counties that now no longer have OBGYNs because of, one, the abortion ban and the potential that there could be some sort of conviction or charges brought against a doctor who treats a woman who's pregnant. You
talk about the priorities in the General Assembly. There was actually a bill that got pretty far through that was going to incentivize doctors to come work in rural parts of the state. And part of the incentive was they were going to pay some of their medical school bills, up to a certain point. And if you work in a rural community in South Carolina, well, they ran out of time. They didn't meet the Sunny Die requirements, and now it doesn't get to cross over, and it's dead. Meanwhile, the trans kids bill, that made it along just fine.
Oh, of course.
You talk about upside down priorities. You got one bill that's going to do nothing but harm kids, gets fast tracked. Another bill that could have saved lives by putting doctors in rural communities didn't get to see the light of day. It makes me furious. And until a couple more million South Carolinians get just as furious, it's not going to change.
No, you're
and
absolutely
these are all knee-jerk reaction bills, right? Someone's mad about it because they don't understand it. And the number one thing you can know about a person is if they're not willing to question their worldview, at least look at it for a minute. They already know they're wrong, but they're not willing to take a look at it, right? To question your worldview, it's not easy, but it's needed of leaders. Bill, I take it as someone who wants to go out and run your district, that you will take what someone tells you and genuinely examine it, compare it to yourself, how you think, and change where necessary.
I don't have really a lot of preconceptions. My philosophy is, if what you're doing does not cause somebody else physical harm, mental harm, or financial harm, then God bless you. Go do it.
Right.
You want to wear certain clothing, go do it. You want to think a certain way, go do it. You're not hurting anybody.
No.
So, why we have to meddle and be involved in your personal lives as much as the Republicans want to be involved, it boggles my mind.
That is
absolutely
the party of limited government.
Like they say, they want to be small government, right? They're supposed to be for small government. Apparently, they want the government so small it fits inside a woman's uterus and can control it.
Right.
That's about as small as they want to get it.
Yeah. It's absurd.
But once it gets big, get rid of it. Not our problem.
I do want to just remind everybody that Bill Kimler is running for South Carolina House seat 13 in Greenwood County.
That is half of Greenwood County and a little tiny part of Lawrence County.
And that the website is kimlerforsc.com, so you can log on there and check Bill out and see all the nice information that he has to basically encourage.
Boy, this sounds like you're wrapping up.
No,
I got another 2 hours in me, buddy. Let's go. This is a 3-parter episode coming right up.
I got your 7 questions right here. Is what I got.
First of all, these questions are lame. I'm just going to say it out now. I've heard you go through these questions. What is your favorite sandwich and why? Come on. I want some hard-hitting questions. I want some real gut-wrenching ones. Let's go.
Well, while Barrett goes through the 7 questions,
Zach
I will think of 7 additional toughies.
Yeah. No, but I do want to make sure that that your campaign is and I've described this when talking to Matt and then about Matt's campaign, is that things, there are so many people, conservatives that believed this idea that if you give corporations the ability to make more money, that wealth would trickle down. That isn't how things work. Trickle down economics is not something that works for any level or for any subject. And in order to invoke actual real change, it has to start at the bottom and work its way up. South Carolina House seats here that are controlled by Republicans that have had the power for the last how long has it been that Republicans have been in control of the House? More than 3 decades now. And we have seen South Carolina get decline in education, decline in infrastructure, decline in medical health. We've seen the birth rate here in South Carolina. Infant mortality has gone up. We are now ranked in
whatever problem South Carolina has today, there is only one place you can put the blame at.
Undeniably.
You can't.
It's a landslide.
It's so absurd. But what I want to convey to everyone that's listening is that you can fund a campaign from outside of your state. You can donate to campaigns in South Carolina.
Unless you're the Russian listener, you can keep your rubles. I don't think I can afford to be accepting rubles from anybody. But everybody else, that'd be great. Thank you.
I will say this. I think the majority of the population in Russia would like to see the type of change that could come if you were to not have the iron fist of Putin or, the oligarchs in Russia. I think that the population in Russia, the population in Iran, even the population in Israel, I do not believe that they hate as much as the news media wants you to think that Israelis hate Palestinians or Jordanians or Lebanese or whatever.
There's a philosophy out there that says if you criticize Israel at all for their policies, then you are anti-Semitic. And all I can point to are the thousands of Israelis that took to the streets to protest against Netanyahu.
Yeah.
I go, there's a lot of anti-Semitic Jews running around the streets of Israel right now. That argument holds no water whatsoever. But you got somebody like Senator Tim Scott who's out there beating the drum that anybody who criticizes the government of Israel is equivalent to being anti-Semitic, and I don't get it.
You can support the Israeli people without supporting the Israeli government.
As part of my job, I work with Israeli coworkers every day.
Yeah.
Right. My company has an office in Israel. We're a global company, so I'm in conference calls with people named Idan and Itamar, and I've worked with them for years. Wonderful people, and I heard the horror of that October attack when it happened.
Yeah.
Like there were ex-employees that were taken hostage that I knew. I mean, it got very personal. But then as the months transpired, and then you saw the devastation that they were able to create in return, it's no longer about defending themselves. It's about inflicting pain upon innocents. Even internally in Israel, the tide is shifting against that retaliation. And it's just, there's no good side. There's no side to take here. There are bad on both sides.
Right.
That somehow you just got to stop it somehow. And an eradication of an entire people is not a way to stop it. On either side, you can't eradicate Israelis. You can't eradicate the Palestinians. Anybody who is attempting to do either is in the wrong.
So and
it's also planting a false idea, right? Like saying that the attacks on Israel was all of Palestinians, every one of them.
No.
Let me ask you this: did you guys
start called Hamas?
Did you start to crap yourself when you first got the news that Iran had launched all of its drones and missiles at Israel? I was sitting here going, "Oh God!"
Yeah.
I mean, and when the numbers just kept, it wasn't like 3 or 10 drones.
Yeah.
You're talking hundreds were being sent.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh crap!"
That was a little terrifying. And then as the night went on, and then what was it? It was Monday morning. I think I'm listening to CNN. And they're talking about 99% of what Iran sent was either shot down by the Israelis, by the Americans, or our allies, or the Jordanians. Even the Jordanians were shooting.
Well, the first news I saw was that Jordan had shut down its airspace, and this was about 10 hours before the attack.
Right.
So, in hindsight, when you're looking back on it, doesn't this whole thing feel like it was orchestrated theater?
Yes, it took forever. When it initially announced, I kept waiting for updates to hear that they had, that these drones had launched attacks and that there were, people were dying and whatnot, and then nothing for hours and hours. And it was literally the next day before I had any information about how many were shot, how many they shot down. The fact that I guess they entered Jordanian airspace, so Jordan shot down multiples, and then it makes me question what sort of technology is Iran working with? Because I've seen videos of their shot down drones before.
Not great,
but they look similar to ours. I don't know that they had the same functionality, but
absolutely not.
But what it seemed like was being shown the next day from the night of when the drones came in, it seemed as though some of these drones were radio frequency airplanes in some cases, and it's like I know that's not what Iran has. Iran is supplied by Russia. Russia has some pretty advanced.
I thought it was the other way.
Yeah.
I thought Iran was supplying Russia.
Iran's buying Russia's oil so that Putin and the oligarchs can make the money, but Russia doesn't even have the money to put fuel in their tanks and trucks.
Well, and Russia instituted a draft recently, from what I understand.
Yeah, and they keep moving the age, like the maximum age limit up.
Right.
Like you're gonna have 65 and 70-year-olds that are marching.
Did thought bubbles just pop up in your window there, Barrett?
Did they?
What was that?
I don't know. I think if I give thumbs up, it's an Apple thing. It's an Apple thing.
Oh, it's an Apple thing. Okay, so I'm just sitting here waving my hand like an idiot.
Exactly.
On my laptop.
Well, to bring it around, even like when you're talking about what is Iran's drones, like I thought they look like how much money we spend on our military industrial complex.
$1 trillion a year.
Oh, it costs like $11 billion to keep a single aircraft carrier going.
Yeah.
Like it's the most ridiculous stats you'll ever hear. Our stuff better be better.
Yeah.
Like they are working with 10 to 20-year-old technology, even in their drones. Like it's insane. That's why
I don't know, Zach. We had a huge Chinese weather balloon floating above our country for about 3 months that we couldn't seem to knock down. So I don't know where that money's going.
Blew it up with what, like a $300,000 missile when a kid with a BB gun could have just
though, in our defense in that situation, the size of what was in the undercarriage of this balloon was enormous. I mean, it was.
I think what they had is everybody was just frozen in stunned silence, like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And they just put that because they were stunned.
Yeah.
How many hillbillies shot at that thing over Myrtle Beach before? Like,
yeah,
I'll get it down. I got a BMG.
Speaking of Myrtle Beach, you guys know the story of the nuclear bomb that was dropped in South Carolina. Are you aware of that part of our history?
Which time?
I know that there was one in Savannah that was dropped, and then there was one. There was a South Carolina one. Was it Charleston or was it Myrtle Beach? I thought it was.
Yeah,
Charleston.
I'm a little murky on the details, but I just know that there was an accidental bomb dropping from one of our own planes on a test mission. This is back in the 60s, maybe, and it hit, and it was just by some miracle it did not detonate.
Not only did it not detonate, it was.
But you got to look this up. I mean, there's a movie to be had here.
Yeah.
Either the one in Savannah or the one, it was a mouth of a river that it was dropped on, and one of those two, it was either South Carolina or Savannah. They still don't know where it went.
And there's another story of a Russian sub. They got false reports that the United States had launched some missiles, and this was a nuclear weapon sub, and they were given orders to fire. And the commandeer or somebody was like on the ladder, and the messenger was below him, and they kind of ran into each other. But that delayed it by just enough seconds that it prevented the command from being passed and executed upon. Otherwise, there would have been nuclear missiles in the 60s firing from this Russian sub to the United States. Littlest coincidence like that.
Yep.
Prevented nuclear Armageddon.
There's a third nuclear bomb that dropped in North Carolina as well.
Yes.
Like there must have been a lever that looked really nice to lean on.
I'll just remind everyone of this. The fact that there is an actual term specific to the loss and then attempted recovery of nuclear warheads that get from the United States, it's called a broken arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if a broken arrow is issued, I'm dumbfounded by the fact that this is an actual thing that required a term. And the Travolta movie was fantastic. So.
Yeah, as long as Christian Slater is not on the bomber, we're fine. Yeah.
I don't.
All right,
see
I'm just
Christian
pausing here.
Slater.
I'm just trying to connect the dots. How did we get to Broken Arrow from wherever we were? Boy, this
Broken Arrow is what it's
conversation
called
is taking some
when you lose a
turns.
nuclear deterrent.
Yeah, when you lose a nuclear missile or nuclear
It's called a broken
missile,
arrow.
yeah, it's called a broken arrow. That's what
That's
the
a
military
legit term.
designated
They
as.
just happen
But
to make
here's
a marrow
another
out
thing
of
to
it.
consider, and nobody's going to sleep after this. Just think of our entire nuclear arsenal that's placed around our country, right?
Yeah,
When was that built? When would you say that most of that occurred?
most of that occurred
after 1942.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but
okay, thank you.
But 50 basically in the mid 50s to the early 60s was when most of these silos were built for distribution of.
And I would also say that
missiles.
a majority of the actual nuclear missiles came about in the 80s.
Yeah,
You know,
Well, they-
under Reagan.
yeah,
There was an arms race.
Yeah,
I picture Kansas just
But-
full of secret bases.
Okay, so just think about technology from the 80s that's still sitting there, right? How many of these silos
It
require
still
a
is.
5 1/4 inch floppy disk to
They
run?
do.
Oh,
You
God.
know,
That's what the
or-
nuclear codes are still on that.
Or
because you
running on
cannot
COBOL, or
can't hack
just
'em.
ancient technology
That's
You
scary.
that
can't hack 'em.
people don't know it. Well, I guess you can't hack them, but nor can anybody troubleshoot or fix.
Here's the
No,
scariest.
but
Here's the scariest thing.
Here's the nuclear cards on my 8.5 by 11 floppy.
And that's America. Think about what's happening in Russia.
Here's the scariest thing.
They've got some old ladies probably in charge of monitoring the missiles that are out there.
If you beat Tetris in Russia, a nuke goes off.
The
Oh,
scariest.
that's a good movie, by the way, Tetris.
The scariest thing about the computer software that was used is I believe, if I remember correctly, because I had a friend that was in the CIA that used to do the mission drops when his group would do food and arms drops in Africa. He couldn't tell us a lot about it, but that's what he said he did.
Are you saying food in quotes? I mean, is that like food drops
and arms?
Okay.
But what
$1
he said
billion.
was, because he came and worked at NCR with me after he retired and the reason that he knew Unix was because the U.S. government was mostly using Unix at the time. The scariest thing about that is come in 2036?
UNIX.
Yeah, no, they weren't using nice.
They used ballless men
Nice.
to run around.
Nice
These are
act.
very covert operations, man.
No playtime for you. Get in there, get out.
They were only the most special of men that went down and served.
I believe
we
20.
didn't have to shave their heads, but we did.
So if you remember the whole fiasco of changing from 1999 over to 2000 and the fact that the computers couldn't
Yeah.
handle multi-digits.
Oh, I lived through that.
Yeah,
as a
I did too.
technician myself. Yeah.
I was working at a radio station when that happened, and as our gag as soon as the clock rolled over. Well, the whole point of this is that I think 2036 is when the Unix clock ends. It reaches at whatever, I think it's that 8-bit system.
Yeah.
It reaches the totality of the number of available seconds to be able to determine time.
You've
Well, that's
lost
when you
Zach for
pop
the
that
rest of
in.
the show. Zach's
No,
done.
That's when you
gotta
pop
just
that
check out, buddy.
that analog odometer. You just press that button real quick and it resets. You're like, count again.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
got
but
1,000.
essentially, that's an actual issue. That it's an actual issue.
So,
It is-
so in 12 years, all of the Unix are going to shut down.
it is a scary thing.
It really is. They will be completely useless.
That is
But
the
they won't, though.
1999 that we should actually fear. So,
Oh, I
weird.
hope those guys that have to turn the keys together.
honestly,
They go through that. Don't copy that floppy. Like
Floppy.
I know
that pre-interview video. Like sexual harassment. Don't copy that floppy.
I know it sounds weird, but if there was some way to upgrade that Unix system, those Unix systems across all of what the government's using them for, to a 32-bit system or a 64-bit system, we'd never have to worry about this stuff again. The fact that IBM and
I'd rather worry about that.
Intel.
Well, you know what? Let me segue into one more issue about my campaign. So I talked about my number one, which was medical
Yeah.
debt. Number two is cybersecurity.
Okay.
And that's something that the lawmakers are just not talking about. And meanwhile, every day you can open up a news report of a local county government, a hospital, a water treatment plant that's been hacked, ransomware, shut down, and they're scrambling because they don't have a backup plan.
Yep.
And I think, this is something we need to start taking seriously as a state. We can't just throw up our hands and go, oh, Prisma has been hacked and all of their emergency systems are now encrypted and they can't issue medical services and are diverting all their patients to other hospitals.
Right.
We don't have that luxury because we have a very fragile medical system as it is.
Yeah.
So, and that's just one example. We are ill-equipped to deal with it, and every state has a national guard. So if you get a natural disaster, you throw the National Guard at it. We need a national cyber guard in every state of talented cybersecurity experts, IT experts that should Greenwood County's system get hacked and everything go offline and no emergency services are available. We can deploy this emergency cyber guard unit to come assist, implement emergency protocols, maybe try to recover the data, give best practices. We are too ill-equipped as a state to be able to do any of this stuff, and we need to give it some serious investment and thought. And by the way, they found $1.8 billion. I got some hints on what they can do with that 1.8. Establishing a statewide cybersecurity defense would be one. But it's not just that. It's also education programs. We should be implementing cybersecurity awareness, personal data integrity awareness at the high school level and beyond. And I'm not talking full classes, but make it part of mandatory training, some basic things you need to know in life.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Don't click on this and don't pick up a USB drive you find on the street, and other basic acts that you learn eventually, but we should be training our students on it so that they can become good cyber citizens. And so as a technology background, there's nobody like that in our legislature today.
Right.
That's just talking about those issues, and we need to before it bites us in the butt.
No, I think we'd absolutely benefit from having you in office, Bill.
Yeah. And I don't know if you have to watch them, Bill. I'm sure you have. I know Barrett has. At the least, these kids should get that IT training that you get when you work.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how to identify spam, how to identify the call-in spam, like all the different types of it. Like there's so many
phishing,
names now.
Everything.
The phishing, and then the phishing where they can call you and do it.
If I see one more Facebook post of somebody sharing a dog that's been injured on the street and they need help finding the owner, do you see those?
No. I have not
they
seen
plague
that.
my timeline. There are all these scam posts on Facebook, and what they do is they hit these public groups like a swap and shop or a county yard sale type of Facebook public group. Somebody will post a picture of a dog that looks injured and maimed and says, we need to find the owner, but they disable the comments on the post. And they ask you, please share this to help me find the owner.
Yep.
So old people normally share the living snot out of these posts, and then what these scammers do is after a month or so they'll go back and change the pictures to be some sort of cryptocurrency scam or some other click to win a prize scam, which they just got a bunch of old people to share for them.
Ridiculous.
And that's how some of these things spread. So every day I'm trying to educate somebody not to share a post that's had its comments turned off.
Yeah,
because that's number one. That means it's a scam.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Absolutely. Same thing when you have the you go to buy something off Facebook Marketplace. Go check how many things this guy has sold, and then go look at the reviews and check that these are real people buying this.
Yeah,
thing. Like
100%.
I can't. I've had loved ones fooled by the most just deceitful, simple things, and it blows my mind.
I keep getting scammed to go on this podcast. I don't know how I get out of that. This is what, my 15th time on this show?
How
does that happen?
Text you and go, it is a real podcast.
Yeah. I keep getting these text messages like, hey, can you go on the air in 15 minutes? And I'm like, yes. And like, oh, I fell for it again.
You know the worst
part? Fell for it again.
You know the worst part is?
We almost built AI Bill, and it's almost complete. If you just 30 more minutes, and we got you.
That what's crazy is that AI Bill that we have on the show today looks it looks unbelievable. He looks so much older than regular Bill. So when you see Bill in person, AI Bill makes sounds like that, just moving slightly to the right. It's weird.
The thing we're working on is making sure that this AI Bill is a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Oh, then you know it's a scam right there.
100% scam.
Hey, you know it's a huge scam. Boy, is that a team that's heading towards disaster or what? I'm watching their off-season moves, and it is
rough.
awful.
Yeah,
I'll
the Eagles
just
are rough.
say this: they are in postseason format, or they are in late season format right now. Like,
they're talking about replacing the best quarterback they've had since, I don't know. Go back, Troy Aikman.
And their top two players, Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, I think are
Yeah.
still unsigned, and they're not
Yeah.
showing up
yeah,
to their preliminary meetings. I
and
was
good
like,
for them.
boy,
Hey,
they did nothing during free agency.
No,
My Panthers just signed Jadeveon Clowney. We are good. We're going to be fine.
it's one
Super
player.
Bowl or
Man.
bust next year.
That's one player.
Oh,
That's
I listened to a podcast that's done by a broadcaster for the Eagles and a broadcaster for the Cowboys, and every week they put out an episode together. And the guy who's the big Cowboys fan is just like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. He just comes on so depressed and sad every episode. I get such joy out of it.
He sounds like a Panthers fan. Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I'm not super excited about Kirk Cousins as our quarterback for the Falcons.
I laughed so hard when I saw
just-
Kirk Cousins go to the Falcons. I was like,
It just
okay.
sounds. It just makes it sound like, well, I guess we're hoping for God, maybe. It just does. It was one of those moves. They were like, well, we need a veteran quarterback. I was like, there are plenty, and they're available.
Like, was Joe Montana not available? I mean, how
He's
old are they going to get for a veteran? Kirk Cousins is ancient now.
Yeah,
I'm telling
And
you
he's
right
not
now,
Tom Brady ancient, where he can still be effective. He's
exactly.
just ancient.
the whole division's going to be decided like, all right, we're all going to win. Break out your crayons, get out your coloring sheets, and put your helmets on. We're doing this.
All right, so should we make our bet now in the next Eagles Falcons game? I don't even know if they're playing this year.
yeah. I don't
Playing
I
each
don't-
other this year.
I don't know if they are either.
Well, I could tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl, Taylor Swift. So
Joe Biden and Taylor Swift will win the Super Bowl again. That's almost assurance.
All right, hit me with the questions. You
All
got
right.
that deck out?
Yes, I do. All right. So here
put
is
it away.
yeah. Here's the first question. Bill, what was the last thing that you Googled?
How to get out of a podcast.
What excuses can I use?
No, okay, I'll tell you what. I know the answer. I could not remember Neil deGrasse Tyson's name. And so I just typed in Tyson, and I was able to stumble upon it. So before I mentioned that name out loud, I was doing a quick little Google to decide to make sure I was using the right name. I had a little blank. I know.
The first thing that came up wasn't like Tyson Chicken out of Gwinnett County, you know.
No. I typed in Tyson physicist, so I
Oh, that's-
narrowed it
That's fair.
down, and
No,
I
then
got
the
the
next
answer
thing
real
you
quick.
Googled was how do you spell physicist?
Yeah. That's good. All right, Bill. What is the what is your most embarrassing favorite song?
Oh,
he said these were awful questions. This is a good one.
it is. But
Look
I don't.
look at the gears.
I don't
Turn
think
it.
I have an embarrassing favorite song.
Yeah, no Duran locked up in there somewhere.
Well, I don't consider it embarrassing. Like their Ordinary World album, I think is one of the best albums I've ever heard.
That
All
is a
right,
good
hold
album.
on. What song do your children yell at you when you play?
I'm a big fan of 1970s progressive rock, so I'm a fan of these songs that are like 15 minutes long.
So some Thin Lizzy and stuff?
No, not
Then-
Thin Lizzy. I'm talking
Some-
more
some
like
Sister
Genesis or Yes or Pink Floyd or
You say prog rock, I think Coheed. I don't know.
Coheed's modern prog. I think they're fantastic too. They're certainly carrying the torch.
That's
But
why
no,
we're
I don't
best
have any
friends.
embarrassing music that I like. Okay, I'm a Madonna fan. I'll throw that out there.
That would
I think she's got some absolutely goosebump songs. You know,
that's fair.
"Oh Father," I think is just one of the best songs that I've ever heard in my life. Makes me cry when I hear it. But hey, that's me.
No, that's
Fair
fair. I completely I get that. All right.
Yeah, I'm judging you, so it's good.
This silence brought to you by my garage door opening. What was one of the things that your parents did that embarrassed you the most?
Oh, I was just telling this story today to somebody. So I'm not going to go on the parents. I'll just talk about my dad. I was talking about the time he gave me the sex ed talk. You know, the father to son talk.
Oh yeah.
And my parents were not able to communicate, although they were young. I mean, my parents had me when they were 19, so it wasn't like there was a huge age gap. But for some reason, we could not have open, honest conversations ever. It just didn't happen. So, you know, when I got my birds and the bees talk,
Please.
It was the day before I went off to college. So I'm up late at night watching TV, kind of nervous about moving away and going, away to school. My dad comes down, he sits down on the couch next to me, and he's like, son, you're going to be on your own. You're making decisions. Just don't go putting things where they don't belong. You know what I mean?
He's like, boy,
I was like, yes, Dad.
Buttholes.
Yes. He's like, any questions? No, Dad. No. And then he went upstairs, and that was the talk.
Zach,
that was it.
Zach, did you get that talk as a child?
Yeah, way younger than I should have. I'm pretty sure it was. I know for a fact it was my mom who told me about it, and I had to be 10, and that's an older guess. Yeah, I was like,
wow,
I'm forever
traumatized.
Scarred. Yeah. Like,
I get that.
They don't have wieners. She's like, nope. I'm like,
I will say this. The talk that I got wasn't necessarily a talk. My father, we were.
you got Pornhub?
No.
Here's some videos.
Your son's like, here's my browser's account, and here you go, son.
I am not that far behind you, Bill. There was not a Pornhub. The internet.
Oh, that's true.
That was not a thing. No. I don't remember.
Leave the cat alone. I need to talk to you.
I don't remember why we were there, but we were outside of the DeKalb County School District office, and he and I were sitting in his Mazda.
A couple people got that talk that day.
we were sitting in his Mazda Miata, which was too small for either one of us to be sitting in, because it's
at least your dad thought he was cool.
I would say that was his midlife crisis, but I'm pretty sure he was in his 60s at that point. But this was the how much of that talk was. He said, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it's going to have to be it's going to have
like this.
I'm going to have to paraphrase. Essentially, he just said, so what? I assume they teach you guys sex education in school. I said, yeah, they do. He says, all right, good. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
And that right there is the number one reason why we ought to have sex education in schools.
100%.
Well, 100%. Yeah, and then your dad goes, now I'm going to do what they do. Put this condom on this watermelon.
Here's a watermelon. What is wrong with you?
That was a strange school he went to.
I will say this. I was, because of the fact that there was very little sex education done in school and there was very little conversation, I can tell you that I started way too early. Way too early. Zach couldn't be my son, but if he were a few years younger, he could be. So.
Now you're just showing off. I mean, that sounds like a little humble brag in my mind.
It's a weird flex, though, right? I mean, it's ultimately really weird.
He's in that 9 to 10 year gap, older than me. We would have been on Maury. It would have been way worse for everybody.
If it was a 13-year gap, Zach, that's all I'm saying. Okay, Bill, your next question. Bill, what is your least favorite candy and why?
Butterfingers.
Really? Why Butterfingers?
I love chocolate and peanut butter.
All right, how do we kick him off?
But I had a Butterfingers last maybe in 2006, and there's still a piece of it on my tooth. Like that stuff just sticks, and you spend your entire day scraping it off your dental work. And I was like, I don't need to put in so much work for a Butterfingers.
Did it get better?
Give me a Reese's.
Did it get better when Bart came out with don't put a hate on my Butterfinger BBs? The Butterfinger BBs were pretty good.
Yeah. That's a hard pass for me.
Yeah. Well, it came out last episode. Black licorice is my kryptonite. There's just
racist.
That.
Agreed.
If
this thing was white, I'd eat it all day.
Yeah, he's white licorice all day long. All day long. But no, you throw black licorice his way, he's like, mm-mm.
I feel like that's more of a reverse racism thing. No? Right?
All the cops.
All right.
Bill, all I got's black licorice here.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
If it's invisibility, it would explain a lot.
Oh, Zach. That was a weird dig. The frenemy is back on.
There's so many things that I wish could be. I think I might start with not needing to sleep.
Okay.
Like if I could have those 8 extra hours a day, I could take more classes, I could read more books, I can enjoy more TV shows, I can learn more things. To me, I think the number one thing I struggle with every day is just time. And it's not time management. I manage my time very well. It's just I have so many things I want to do with my time, and I can't drop anything. I can only add.
I know exactly what power you would need.
What's that?
Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, yes.
Your time
that
and
would
space
be,
is irrelevant
to be in
you.
multiple things at the same time, be multiple places at the same time, doing multiple things.
Exactly. You could run out and be like, I'll be right back. Back is literally
that segment where Dr. Manhattan was being intimate with his lady. Meanwhile, he was also doing some scientific research the next door over.
Why are you so mad I'm reading my Kindle? Call.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That is he's the OG superhero. There is no one more stronger than Captain Manhattan.
What's your opinion of the movie?
I loved it. The Watchmen?
I thought it was great.
Great.
And did you see the HBO series?
Oh gosh, dude. There's not a more poignant series made.
I was just in awe of it. It was absolutely perfect, and I was so disappointed. It was
right now even thinking about it. Yeah,
it was meant as to be a one and done, and I was like, that's a series I could have gotten hooked into, just like Game of Thrones. I mean,
that's what we needed. There. Leave it. We're good.
Yeah.
Don't need any more. Leave it there.
All right, good question, Barrett. That was a toughie.
All right. What is one question that you wished I had asked?
Yeah, and I wish you hadn't asked that question, because that's the laziest journalistic question that has ever been asked. And then your next question is, what's the question you wish I hadn't asked? That's lazy journalism, man. You got to dust that card off and start over.
All right, we'll find another 6th and 7th question if that'll make you happier there.
You know what? First of all, I want to give you a ton of credit. I know I like to bust chops, with you guys, and it's always fun to do so. But Barrett, being on your show that first time, and then chatting with you guys, and then having you two down in Greenwood to record a show live in front of the studio audience.
That was a lot of fun.
You guys gave me the podcasting bug. You really did. And if I won $1 million right now, and I could quit my job, I would do a daily podcast. There is nothing that gives me greater pleasure in the week than the show that I do with Dr. Brooks.
And an outstanding job.
Thank you.
It's such a good podcast. Like
I love that y'all do the TikToks too. My God,
yeah.
They're great.
And don't think I didn't steal that from you guys and your What the Pod Was That. I mean, that while we don't make our entire show of that, the stuff that you do, I listen to that religiously, and I every episode I totally die. The one that you just released with the fish eyes, I was throwing up on the side of my bed this morning watching that. I was getting sick to my stomach, and I was like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life." Absolutely the best thing in my life.
Did you like my trap for Carrie? I was like, you're getting more than one.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is I have a camera. So literally where I'm sitting I sit at my desk. Zach sits right here. Carrie sits right here when we record these episodes. So I have a GoPro that is trained on them. So I have footage of Carrie's reaction to both the ball, the testicles, and to the fish eyes. She literally climbed out of her seat. She was convulsing. She was almost got. And I'll be honest, on the bollocks, I was leaned over here in this trash can. I was getting ready to throw up.
At the end of that bit, when the guy put the eye on his forehead, I stood up and applauded. I was like, this guy is a genius. I thought that was great. So yeah, I stole that idea a little bit from you. When I come across good and topical and I think humorous TikToks, we'll play them on our show as well. But just the whole ability to be creative, and even the post editing, and then getting into the world of doing our own TikToks, where I get to slice together pieces of our videos and interject other clips and make it fun. Boy, I look back and I'm just enjoying that creative process that I did not know I was missing out on, and I wish I could do more of it.
I don't think there is a single day that I can imagine where I don't see something new from Bill Kimler or the Black, White, and Blue in the South podcast. Yeah. Like every single day I see something come up that I hadn't seen before. I remember hearing it on the episode, but to see Dr. Jamil rolling her eyes at something that you've
It's
said,
fantastic.
if when you give your better, when you say or better yet, and you automatically hit Dr. Jamil, she's like, oh God, here it comes.
Yeah, you give her
It's
that.
so
Get
good.
ready for this, and she's just like, tell me.
It's
Just
so
tell
good.
me.
I was especially proud of the clip we put on TikTok about Senator Katie Britt and
Oh,
her
yeah.
response to the State of the Union.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a great time analyzing that response. It's so much fun.
I'll tell you what. Now, I hope it works for other people who see your TikToks, because when I see one come on, I know there's a new episode coming too, and I literally jump to my iTunes podcast and jump on it.
But Bill releases those TikToks and those social media things. Like sometimes he'll release one today that was from an episode, 15 or something like that.
It doesn't matter. I go jump.
Yeah.
I go like, oh, let's go do this. Yeah.
For every, I've got a system up. So for every episode, I have 6 social media clips that I create off that episode. And then the 7th, and then one goes up every day. And you're right, I have them jumbled up. So I jump around between new clips, old clips, but every day is different. And so I have enough for every day of the week. And on the 7th day is the Wednesday announcement that we have a new episode. So that's reserved for Wednesdays. But all the other days are clips from some episodes sometime in the past, because every episode has at least 6 clips to go with it.
Well,
it's a whole system.
It's fantastic. I
the
appreciate
one that
it.
got me the react to y'all had Verlardabo on, and y'all were talking about that neo-Christian guy. I cannot remember his name. And you're like, time out, Matt. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about him.
Oh, yeah.
That
The 7 pillars.
the
Seven
seven pillars
Pillars.
guy. Because I know exactly who y'all were talking about. And I was like,
We also, I think that was the same clip. We played the PragerU cartoon of Christopher
Yes.
Columbus.
Yep.
Prager University.
Saying, hey, slavery isn't that bad. It just blows the mind. And you have to see it to believe it.
Have you seen Prager talk? You're just like, who is this human? Like, how does he exist? Like, much less have a university.
Well,
but
whatever.
Liberty
There
University
are
exists.
schools. There are charter schools in South Carolina being opened that use material from Prager University
Oh, yeah.
on public tax dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's out there teaching things like, hey, we weren't white conquerors, and they were already evil when we showed up. And by the way, slavery is better than death. I don't see the problem. I mean, that's literally what this cartoon said about Christopher Columbus.
We brought the good news.
Yeah, we cover some crazy stuff in that podcast.
That was an excellent.
But hey, you know what? I again, I want to come back to the original point. You guys were the inspiration for that.
Oh, we appreciate
that. You made it seem achievable. Not saying that it's easy, but it's certainly within the reach of technically adept people, or people who have some personality or some things to say. I listened to every one of your shows, both What the Pod and All About Nothing. I have not missed an episode. I do kind of skip over the Firefly stuff because that doesn't interest me. I'm not from Columbia, so I don't.
Well, the good news is the Firefly stuff is only going to be an exclusive content for members after like a week. So like it'll be released to the public for like 6 days, and then it moves into the exclusive content. So it's did anybody else watch Saturday Night Live this past weekend with
I saw that opening clip. Yeah. Oh my God.
Beavis and Butthead was the most hysterical thing they had.
Oh, was that the one I didn't see that one. Is that what you're talking about?
So
oh my God.
Everything.
It was so
I was
good.
talking about the UFO interview.
I loved that one.
That was great. That was great.
What Gosling said, he goes, I just want to assure everybody, I have other clothes. Like, if you haven't seen it yet, go back and watch that entire episode, because like, yeah, they did a thing where they had a guy, it was like a Newsmax article, and they had him being interviewed by Heidi Gardner. But there's a guy who looks exactly like Beavis just over her shoulder, so he's completely distracted of it by this gentleman sitting behind her. So they had him move.
I'll give you a taste in 2 seconds.
All right, yeah. Zach's gonna pull it up and share it with us. But then the guy that replaces him in that seat is Mikey Day doing an impression of Butthead, showing all the exposed gum and everything. absolutely hilarious. The whole cast is they're all breaking down. That's my favorite part of Saturday Night Live is when the cast finds it so funny that they're laughing at themselves. Yeah, Zach's gonna pull that up so we can share that with you, because it was that Saturday Night Live episode this past weekend has given me new hope about Ryan Gosling.
Certainly. Let's move on to our audience questions, starting with Patricia Faulkner.
Yes, right here.
You put them right next to each other. Look, they even sitting like they do on the show. You two really don't know that you look like Beavis and Butthead.
Oh my gosh! All right.
All right,
we're gonna wrap it up. But if you haven't seen that episode, it was absolutely fantastic. It was.
Oh, I did not see that before. I have tears coming out of my eyes.
It was Ryan.
It's so good.
That episode has restored or created an impression that I have a better opinion of Ryan Gosling after that episode.
I've already loved his previous.
Listen, I have a better opinion of Saturday Night Live now, because I had never enjoyed that show, to be honest with you. I never really found it funny, but that had to be one of the funniest damn things I've ever seen in my life. And if that's not the funniest bit, I challenge you to find anything that was funnier than what I just saw.
What's hilarious is they get beside each other and they're like, we literally have never met. They're just like, yeah, my name's Dave and Jeff. Like they just keep playing the whole thing.
That is going to do it for this episode.
All right, that took whatever energy I had left. Gone. It's 100%.
Gone. Bill Kimler, Democratic candidate, South Carolina, House Seat 13. You can check out his website. It is,
and isn't it refreshing that you can have a normal person conversation with somebody who's into politics as well? It doesn't have to be a stuffy shirt or somebody who's just repeating hackneyed phrases they find on the internet or on Fox News or whatever. We had a normal conversation, just like regular guys, and well, I don't know about regular, but. A step above eunuchs, I suppose.
Twice today.
Damn it.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And if you can laugh at Beavis and Butthead with anybody,
heck yeah. Because it's just good. It's just good humor. It's well written.
I
Agreed.
got my butt whipped at 7 years old for laughing hysterically in my mom.
I assume you've seen the more recent releases. Brilliant.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely brilliant.
So good. All right.
Mike Judge can do no wrong.
Bill Kimler, his website, Kimler4SC.com. You can check that out. Or you can follow him anywhere on social media. He's all over the place and he's posting constantly. Enough that you get a good idea where he stands on things. Just so you know. All right. Bill, thank you very much for being on with us again. And I know it was short notice, but whatever anxiety you had or fear of coming on this short notice, you did well.
Zach, correct my memory. Tell me if I made this up, but didn't Barrett have an idea that, for some sort of special anniversary episode, like the number 200, which great, you had a pizza guy on, that was awesome. But didn't you have an idea of doing a 24-hour show, like doing a full 24-hour recording? To celebrate, right? Did I make that up, or did you hear that too?
No, but circumstances have changed. I got this thing in my eye that's going on. I don't know. What else can I tell you to make you believe me?
Again, Zach, weird flex. Just a weird flex.
I'm mowing my lawn and now this is here.
I don't know. It's entirely possible. We could potentially find some way of doing like a 24-hour marathon that we just live stream.
Boys, we could do this all day long and have 10 people on it, I think. So let's figure this out.
You could do rotating shifts.
We'll cross promote on Black, White, and Blue in the South.
The big media empire has just grown beyond all recognition, and you've got enough podcast partners in this empire that we probably could do some sort of major tag team.
If we came up with
I'm going to put it on you, Bill. Find a charity that we can do it for.
Kimler4SC.com.
That's it.
Charity.
All right. That is going to do it for episode number 201. Thank you very much, Bill, for being here. Really appreciate you coming on with us. So we'll make sure to
all right, Barrett, you're buttering it up.
Include in the show notes all of Bill's contact information, including his phone number. That got his eyes open. Links to past episodes, platform, podcast, merchandise, and social media available at our website, theallaboutnothing.com. And if you think our financial model of giving away free content and Entertainment. Zachy, are you punching? If you think our financial model of giving away free content and entertainment is silly and you're in the giving mood, why not become an official Nothinger? Support the show monthly. Members can get early access to this episode as well as exclusive content, or you can make a one-time donation through the same link. If you
like a really Brady Bunch. Remember the Brady Bunch where they're all just looking around? And meanwhile,
if you think if you want to be a part of the show,
you feel dirty now.
If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can call and leave us a message, 803-672-0533, or you can email theshow@theallaboutnothing.com, where you can join our Discord server. Links are available at theallaboutnothing.com. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. You all stay safe, be kind, and...
You know what? Keep your hands to yourself.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Keep your tongue to your panel. Keep that in your own window.
I said hands.
The All About Nothing podcast is produced and engineered by me, Barrett Gruber. Thanks to Cake for our intro music, Sick of You. You can follow everything Cake the band at cakemusic.com. Thanks to Muff the producer for our outro music. You can follow Muff on Instagram at Muff the producer. I am Barrett Gruber. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Barrett Gruber, or visit my Linktree /Barrett Gruber. Want to support the show? Visit our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com, and become a member. There are several tiers available, including memberships that give you early access to episodes as well as exclusive content. Visit theallaboutnothing.com. To find links to our social media, merchandise, and past episodes, visit theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be heard on the show, you can call and leave us a message. Dial 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is more than you can handle, check out our partner podcast. Zach and I host What the Pod Was That with Carrie Simmons. Visit whatthepodwasthat.com for links and details. Me takes a deep dive down the rabbit hole in episodes of Welcome to Wonderland. Available on all the podcast platforms. Visit WTWLpod.com for details. As well, you can listen to the political and social conversation between Dr. Jamela Brooks and Bill Kimler on Black, White, and Blue in the South, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Please subscribe and share this show. If you're on YouTube, please like and hit the notification bell. Thank you for listening. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media and copyright 2024, all rights reserved. This episode of the All About Nothing podcast is brought to you by Blank Canvas Brand. If you own a business, restaurant, or sports team and you're ready to shake things up with that new, unique image, you need to use Blank Canvas Brand. Blank Canvas specializes in brand identity, including logos and graphics for business cards, flyers, banners, and signs. Blank Canvas offers printing services to help with your clothing needs. Look, when it comes to talent and service, there is no one better. For more information, you can search Facebook for Blank Canvas, or you can email blankcanvas@theallaboutnothing.com. That's BLNKCANVS @theallaboutnothing.com. You can find links in the Friends of the Pod section of our website. Visit theallaboutnothing.com.